our best, as usual. Got a special guest today, my friend Marty. You may recognise Marty. Martin Buckingham, who was also in one of Anna Breese's original videos. He's come over and we're going to do some leafleting, well within the law. But he's got a tale he'd like to relate in the meantime. Marty, over to you.
Yeah.
There you go. All yours, buddy.
Well, greetings to everybody.
You might have to go a little bit lower.
A bit lower down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure people
Okay.
can see you. That should be right.
I'm just going to share a story. I was just going to relate this really to Lee, but I thought maybe it has some value in being shared with people. I remember Lee mentioning he used to work when he was a younger man with a Norwegian gentleman who had fought in the resistance against the Nazis. And I'd not shared with Lee because we'd not had time to talk about family sides of things and my family background. But on my mother's side, she's from overseas. I remember there was an incident once on Leicester Market. I was serving a customer. This Indian lady looked at me, older lady, and said, "You're not from round here, are you? Where are you from?" I said, "Well, no, I am. I'm born in Leicester and my dad's from Leicester, but my mother comes from overseas." And she was born in Mamel on the Baltic Sea in a country called Lithuania. And she had a German mother called Maria. That's a picture of Maria, my grandma. There's another picture of Maria, stamped, a stamped document that is. It's got the Nazi insignia, a swastika, stamped on it. And her dad was a Lithuanian, and his name was Franz Graichus, and that's him in his army Lithuanian uniform. My granddad, Franz Graichus. And my mum, that's my mum, marrying my dad in the 50s. She came to this country in the early 50s and married my dad in 1954. And that's a picture of the wedding that took place in Germany later on. On my dad's side, his family came from Aston originally, and the whole family, for some reason, upped sticks and moved to Leicester. And that's my dad's dad, Harry Buckingham, marrying Annie from Coventry. That's a picture from 1912. And my mum and dad together there. And as I say, my mother was born in a place called Mamel. She remembers many happy days of sandy beaches. That's an old black and white postcard with deer that used to wander around on the beaches, with fishing, and she had a happy life. And then she loved her mum and dad very much. And then one day she remembers being afraid. Her dad was in tears and he was pacing up and down, distraught. And he said, "This man Hitler is the cause of all our problems, of all our troubles." And Maria, that's my grandmother, my mum's mum, her brother came, and his name was Hans, and he says, "Maria," he says, "take my advice, sell the restaurant." She had a restaurant with a lot of Jewish clientele he said, sell it because the Jews will start disappearing. They're killing them, Maria. They're rounding up people. And she says, these things can't be true, Hans. They can't be true, surely. He says, no, they are true. He says, there's no future in any of this. Take the kids and go to Germany. Get out of here. And he himself was one of the last people flown out of Stalingrad before the Sixth Army was cut off. He was flown out with wounds, and in the hospital back in Germany, he noticed all the soldiers with him in the hospital ward were disappearing. And he realised that they were being, in his thoughts, killed off, gotten rid of, and he didn't want to be next. So he got his clothes when he had opportunity, and he went home and later died of his wounds in his own house. My mum remembers as a little girl being taken by her mother to this big demonstration, not demonstration, it was more of a, the Nazis had come, Hitler was there with the entourage speaking from the balcony in Maymel, which was this building, and he was doing one of his speeches and ranting and raving, and my mum said to her mother, she says, Mutti, she says, Mother, warum schreit dieser Mann so? Why is this man screaming so loudly? Is he verrückt in the Kopf? Is he crazy in the head? And her mum said, Ruth, whether he's crazy or not, time will tell. But for the time being, we don't speak Lithuanian anymore. We speak German. And my mum could speak fluent Lithuanian, and she had to speak German. And she remembers things had changed, and they went back. The dad, Franz, he left and he joined what there was of the Lithuanian resistance, because there wasn't very much, to be honest. Most just capitulated to the Nazis and gave in, but he was one of the few that resisted. And she never saw him again. At some point before the end of the war, he was shot, either by the Germans or the Russians that came in 1944. So he was caught between two ferocious beasts, the grey beast and the red beast, and both were vicious beasts. And so my mum had a hard life. She went back with her mother and her little brother, little sister, and through East Germany, back into Germany, and settled in Bremen, Achim, a little town 15 minutes from Bremen, where she grew up and later came to this country to work with children. Didn't plan to stay here, but met my dad and then settled down here. On my dad's side, his brother John lost an eye at Dunkirk, and fought for the British. So there was suffering on both sides of the family. I've never been Lithuania. I've never come across any of my relatives that were still would be there now. But I was familiar growing up on long summer school holidays of 6, 7, 8 weeks with visiting my nan in Achim. And later in life she lived in one of these block of flats with old peoples, and they'd all sit outside sometimes on summer evenings talking and gossiping and just by the letterboxes, and me and my sister would come and go with shopping and come and go, And my nan would say, "Who was sitting out there on the front? Was it the man with the dogs?" She'd call him the Hunderman, the Alsatians. Is Frau so and so there? Yes, she's there. And what about so and so? Yeah, he's there. And sometimes you had an uneasy feeling that not all of them totally were happy with the English. And they say, "Oh, the English Kinder are here, the little English people there, you know." And you got a feeling you weren't quite always welcome. But there was one chap called Mr. Minderman. And he had his leg blown off by the British with a bomb. And he was one of the nicest people out. One of the nicest. He made a point of being friendly and warm. And to me, it sums up, people are people wherever they are, wherever they're born. Systems are evil that at times need resisting and opposing. And I just share these things simply, that we've got to resist totalitarian evil. I mean, my grandfather, he didn't want to resist any more than, and we all want to be left alone to live our lives peacefully. But sometimes things happen in life that you're caught in a snare and you've got to push back. So it's just something to think on as we're going through these days where a lot of people are capitulating to tyranny and evil. And yeah, God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, Lee, for blessing me.
I've got to add anything to that. That says it all. You know, if something ain't right, then you've got to push back if you don't feel right. And God bless.